Hello, boys and girls. This is Aunt Fernita, and I have a wonderful story for you called A Praise Parade. Today's memory verse is Luke chapter 19, verse 38. It says, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." The message for today's story is we worship Jesus when we praise Him. For what do you like to thank Jesus? Long ago, the people praised Him with a parade, palm branches, and loud voices. Jesus and His friends were approaching the city of Jerusalem. Suddenly, Jesus stopped. "Go into that village over there," He said to two of the disciples. "You will see a donkey colt tied up. It has never been ridden. Untie it and bring it to me. If anyone asks you what you are doing, just say, 'The Lord needs it.'" Jesus needed the colt because He was about to do what the prophets had said the Messiah would do. Your King is coming to you. He is gentle and riding on a donkey. He is on the colt of a donkey. In those days, kings rode into cities on big donkeys. They wanted everyone to know who they were. They wanted everyone to be afraid of them. Jesus wanted everyone to know that He was king. But He entered the city on a little donkey. Jesus never wanted people to be afraid of Him. The disciples knew that something unusual was going to happen. So they hurried off to do what Jesus asked of them. When they entered the village, they found a colt, a young donkey, just as Jesus said they would. As they untied it, the owner asked them what they were doing. The disciples answered, "The Lord needs it," just as Jesus had said to do. And they led the little colt to Jesus. There was no saddle, so the disciples put their coats on the colt. The road to Jerusalem was crowded. Fathers held their children on their shoulders so they could see Jesus. Mothers stood on their tippy toes to watch. There were people whom Jesus had healed, people who had been blind, deaf, sick, and crippled. The people began to spread their coats on the road for the colt to walk on. This is what people did for kings in those days. The people also began to shout, "Bless the King who comes in the name of the Lord! Bless the King who comes in the name of the Lord!" Again and again, the people shouted and sang praises to Jesus. Some of the religious leaders watched. They knew the people were calling Jesus the Messiah, and they did not like it. "Teacher," they shouted from the side of the road, "tell these people to stop saying these things." Jesus looked sadly at the religious leaders. He knew they did not want to believe that He really was the Messiah. They hated Him. "I can't tell them to do that," Jesus answered. "If the people are quiet, then the stones along the road will cry out." It was time for everyone to know that Jesus was the Messiah, the one sent by God. It was time for everyone to make a choice. Would they believe in Jesus?
This podcast is produced by Gracelink.net at Studio El Piso, Singapore. For more children's resources, please visit Gracelink.net.